Warning! Do not watch on an empty stomach and make sure your fridge is well stocked. Meanwhile, Rotunda was grinding his teeth. Those bastards think that after 2 years in prison, it's all over? Find them for me now. The henchman with the headscarf hesitated. Lord Rotunda, you know Lord Dedran was transferred to the capital. Making a big fuss won't help. What did you just say? Rotunda swung his arm, slapping the henchman in the face. Do you think I won't do anything without someone backing me up? The henchman, with a scarf on his head, felt the sting of the blow but only dared glare at him. Rotunda continued to grumble. If I don't intervene, then... At that moment, he spotted Elena. Ma'am, what are you doing here at night? He sneered, immediately rushing towards Elena. Allison took out the gem. He understood why he couldn't accumulate mana. It was due to the side effects of this gem. Sitting on the ground, he tried to absorb energy from the gem. He struggled to crawl back to his bed, thinking that he shouldn't have absorbed the gem. Rurin was busy in the kitchen, preparing food for Ellison. She worried about him, knowing he was exhausted but unsure how to help. Meanwhile, Elena had been captured by the henchmen. She was frightened and begged for mercy. Rotunda stroked his chin, assessing. Elves are always so beautiful. I visited the clinic a few times, do you remember me? He patted Elena on the shoulder and licked his lips. If you answer well, you can go. If not, I'm really looking forward to it. Do you know where Linte and Matt are? Elena froze upon hearing those names. Didn't they just come to Ellison's restaurant to apply for a job? But she couldn't say that. Elena silently chanted a spell and then shouted, I won't tell you. A blinding light burst out, temporarily blinding those bastards. Elena used that brief opportunity to escape. Rotunda gritted his teeth. Elena, how dare a lowly creature like you try to escape? Elena turned back to see his hand very close. How can he be so fast despite being fat? At that moment, Linte intervened again. Just like last time, he aimed a punch right at Rotunda, sending the fat man flying like a sandbag. Linte couldn't hold back any longer, gritting his teeth in anger. Matt didn't blame her brother, instead grabbing a stick to fight back, saying with a smile, It's okay, brother, I'm glad you did that. Now we can live peacefully through the winter. Elena, still kneeling on the ground, trembling, asked, Why are you two here? Leave here, this bastard came looking for us. Matt answered, turning around. Linte clenched his fist tightly and said angrily, This trash is really going after people unrelated to us? Let me remind you of the story from 2 years ago. But Rotunda, still on the ground, calmly took out a whistle, blew it, then sat up calmly and said, Hee hee, you want to talk about 2 years ago? Huh? Matt and Linte's faces were filled with fear as they heard the whistle. He continued, You think I came here unprepared? You're about to die. Damn it, this bastard. As soon as he finished speaking, footsteps could be heard, and a bunch of handsome, scarred young men approached. Oh God, our client is in trouble. Are these the people you want us to take care of? Asked Roman Horde. The gang leader in Grake. The scene changed, and someone was knocking on Rain and Noel's door in the middle of the night. Rain got up groggily. I think someone's knocking. Who could it be? Rain opened the door and asked. Who is it? Who else but our little dragon Rurin? Rurin stammered apologetically. I'm sorry, this is the closest place where I can smell it. Can you show me where the clinic is? Back at the unfortunate siblings, Linte was being brutally beaten by Grake's thugs. He was trying his best to resist, but Roman Horde's overwhelming strength was undeniable. Meanwhile, Linte swung a stick from behind Horde, saying, How dare you? But Roman easily caught the stick with one hand, looking uninterested. This is no joke, then tightened his grip around Matt's neck and threw her to his men. Rotunda, his face bruised, said, Hee hee, don't think of Roman as an ordinary person. He's an experienced mercenary. Roman asked, Should we continue torturing them? Rotunda yelled, Don't touch him, he's still useful. And don't lose track of that elf girl. Roman mumbled, So that's his preference. At this moment, Linte tried to grab Roman's leg and said, Let the others go. This bastard. Roman angrily kicked Linte away. I think I have to break your wrist. Matt, seeing her brother, shouted through tears, "No," but she was being held tightly by a thug and couldn't escape. On the other side, Elena was threatened with a knife by another thug. "You'd better stay quiet. At least let me treat their injuries," she said fearfully. Linte continued to be tortured, thinking to himself, "Did I do wrong? Should I have just walked away and pretended nothing happened? Plug my ears and cover my eyes? Maybe I should run to another village as if nothing happened. No, I have endured that bastard since 2 years ago. But Linte endured the torture, gritting his teeth and clenching his fists in helplessness. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out. "Found you. Oh, Rurin, I've never seen her appear. And I feel like an angel has just arrived." Not using teleportation while deep in the forest was the right decision. "Who would have thought I'd find you myself? Elf girl, we need your abilities." Everyone was still confused as to why a kid had just run up and started babbling. Elena, tears streaming down her face, trembling, said, Rurin, I really want to help. But, Rurin looked around. Based on the current situation, should I take care of all of them? Roman felt immense pressure, and his instinct told him to remain silent and bow his head to survive. Trembling, he told his henchman, "Release her." Matt immediately cried out, "Brother!" Elena quickly used her magic to heal Linte. The fat Rotunda was still confused about what was happening. "What are you guys doing? Why are you just standing there? Get that elf girl over here." "Where are they?" Of course, they had run away. Staying to fight a dragon was like willingly jumping into its belly. They were smart. "I'll catch you myself and sell you." He reached out to grab Rurin, but she used a gravity spell, and Rotunda's arm instantly twisted and shattered. He screamed in pain, echoing through the forest, as those around watched in fear. My arm. Huh, how can trash like you even speak human language?" Rurin said to Elena, "Are you done? I've taken care of everything. Let's go." It seemed they had a more urgent matter to attend to. Back at the restaurant, Elena used all her energy to heal Ellison. "You won't have any issues with daily activities," she said, panting. She thought to herself, "How strong is he really? I've used up all my mana." Rurin, tears streaming down her face, threw herself into Ellison's arms. "Elle, are you okay?" "Still tired," Elle said. "Thank you for saving my life." "Elena." Rurin looked at Elena, stood up, and blushed. "Your name is Elena, right? Thank you for helping." Everyone around was shocked. "What? Rurin is thanking someone?" Rurin yelled. "What's with your expressions?" She got angry. "Forget it, I was just considering it." Ellison and Elena said, "It's just surprising." Then, Elle turned to the door. "When are you two coming out?" Matt and Linte, hiding outside, came in and said, "You knew we were here?" We just wanted to thank her for saving us." "What do you mean? Didn't you two save Elena?" "That construction supervisor. His name is Rotunda, right? Was it him?" "No. Rotunda initially came here for us. We caused trouble for unrelated people." Ellison comforted them, saying Rotunda was already notorious, and asked why they didn't tell him the truth when they first arrived. Linte cautiously replied, "If it had been 2 years ago, I would have done so. I don't want to lie about my sins." Elle smiled, took out a gold coin, and said, "Do you two not have a place to sleep tonight? If not, this will be useful." Linte and Matt stared in amazement at the gold coin in Ellison's hand, realizing it could cover their expenses for months. "Why did you choose to give this to us?" "What do you mean?" "Because from tomorrow, both of you will be working on my farm." The two were stunned. "But you know we're criminals." Ellison exhaled lightly and calmly said, "We pay our people, and we know who to criticize. I think there will be no problem." Ellison thought differently beside him. I'm about to have new subordinates." Linte and Matt were shocked, and they knelt down and shouted, "I will serve you for life. I will also follow you for life. Just call me the manager." These two siblings are smart. They know how to choose their master. If they didn't, with their personality, dying on the streets was a sure thing. So everything ended peacefully on a calm moonlit night. Once again, from today, we will assist with the work at the farm here. Today is the first day Linte and Matt started working at the farm that Ellison, our great mage, built. Linte spoke up. We are delighted to work with the seniors. Seniors, that's right. I'm a senior now. Milton laughed happily and said, I'm also glad to work with you too. Linte seemed unsure, while Mr. Ment looked at the two with a scrutinizing gaze. It was Manager Ellison's decision, so I have no objections. But I don't fully trust you two yet. Yes. The siblings stood stiffly, responding nervously. Mr. Ment continued, however, if it were me, I would definitely beat that Rotunda guy black and blue. Mr. Ment then guided Linte and Matt in their tasks, starting by showing them how to stack hay for the cows. Hopefully, they will work diligently on the farm. At the same time, the magic orb of the Dragon King was glowing. Ellison was holding the orb and thought, my mana is about to recover. There probably won't be any side effects when using magic anymore. Now I remember, there's only a few days left. I wonder if what I requested has arrived. This time, huh? Our little dragon was looking out the door with a strange look. Ellison was quite surprised, wondering what she was thinking. What are you doing? Observing. Customers? Ellison asked again. I see many strangers. Wow, this girl is paying attention to other beings? What's going on? Last time, she even thanked Elena. What's been happening to her lately? She's not acting normal at all. Rurin was still attentively watching the customers enjoying their meals in the restaurant. The women seemed happy, adorned with shiny jewelry. Rurin wondered, why do human women wear so many shiny things? Well, maybe because they look pretty. Ellison replied. Don't dragonfolk also fill their caves with jewels and trinkets? Rurin responded. I don't know much about that. But my mother's cave didn't have such things. Ellison asked. Have you ever wanted to receive things like that? Meanwhile, Benin was planning something else. He was gifting Meal a beautiful necklace. And they both seemed very happy. Watching that, Rurin felt uneasy. I don't know. Just then, the restaurant door opened, and a new customer entered. Oh, it's Ellison's silly disciple. The young man was holding a scroll as he entered, shouting, Master, great news. This morning, we caught Rotunda lying in the hospital. He confessed to all his crimes. Tax evasion, harassment, human trafficking, assault. He's been charged with so many crimes. He will never see the light of day again. Ellison replied, he's worse than I thought. His closest associates betrayed him along with the information about him. It turns out the one backing Rotunda was Count Dedran. Although Count Dedran has been captured, Rotunda kept acting recklessly without considering his position. It's surprising that not all of Count Dedran's accomplices were in the castle. Catching one brings more. Diran sighed. Ellison placed a hamburger in front of Diran. But you're still doing great. Do you have free time 3 days from now? Oh, if it's an invitation from you, I'll arrange it right away. Ellison whispered something in Diran's ear. What are these two planning? Diran shouted with joy. Awesome, I'm in. Both of them grinned, and one night, then another, and another passed. 3 days later, Geltzer, the dwarf leader, sat pensively. Ellison, you came right on time. On the other side, Ellison slowly sat down in the dark. Geltzer spoke first. What I want to say is. But Ellison waved his hand. Present the items first. I've completed them. Very good. Ellison looked into the bag with a sly grin. Meanwhile, Geltzer continued. I've gathered everything. Nothing is missing. But what is going on? It was just a bag full of sausages and beer. The other dwarfs were gathering around, cheerfully eating sausages and drinking beer. Geltzer asked, is this much theatrics necessary? Elle said. I just wanted to try it out. It would be great if everyone could join. But since the project is in its final stages, I understand. Tonight was a night full of shimmering moonlight and stars over the city of Grake. Noel and Rain, a married couple, were heading to a restaurant. This is the first time we've received an invitation like this. Rain replied, yes, but I'm really excited about it. Linte was talking to Miltine. Can we join too? Of course. The boss said all the employees at the farm should participate as well. Oh, what is little Matt doing with that cow? Is she planning to become a Spanish bullfighter? Scene changed to the restaurant. Wow, a very elegant platter was placed on the table. Is it European cuisine today? Rurin asked. What's this? Elle turned around. Oh, you don't know what today is? Then he turned to all the guests in the restaurant. Everyone, I'm so glad you all could make it. To show our appreciation, we've prepared a little event. Rurin was surprised. Oh, a restaurant event? Elle continued. The name of the game is, What's in Your Mouth? The rules are very simple. Put on a blindfold. Taste the food, and guess what it is. Anyone who guesses correctly will receive a prize. And the first participant is Miss Miltine. Me first? Miltine put on the blindfold and got ready for the game. Is this even edible? Elle said. Everything here is edible. It just depends on how you perceive it. Here's the food. Miltine, sweating nervously, opened her mouth to receive the unknown food. The atmosphere around her grew darker. This thing is hot and soft. What is it? I've never encountered anything like this. There's something slimy inside. She suddenly felt shocked and immediately spat everything out. Meanwhile, Elle was laughing heartily. Miss Miltine is out. What you just ate is called a marshmallow. It's made of sugar and is something you won't find anywhere around here. Because it comes from a very faraway place. Elle thought to himself. Miltine screamed. How could I guess that? Even after eating it, I couldn't tell what it was. At this moment, Mr. Ment unexpectedly grabbed the food and popped it into his mouth, saying, But it's really delicious. Miltine, crying while eating, said, The blindfold scared me so much I couldn't taste its sweetness. Next up was Mr. Knoll, who seemed very confident with the encouragement of his wife, Rain. But just a second later, Knoll was spitting fire out of his mouth. Whoa, so spicy. Oh god, our main guy is quite the trickster, making Mr. Knoll eat nothing but chili peppers. And of course, Mr. Knoll was out, while Mrs. Rain angrily shoved piece after piece of chili into her mouth and yelled at her husband. It's not that spicy, why couldn't you eat it? But the truth is, Mr. Knoll can't handle spicy food at all, so it's understandable that he couldn't eat it. Elle continued, This is fun, isn't it? I'm wondering if anyone can guess correctly. Next up is Miss Rurin. Rurin was startled. Do I have to participate too? Of course. Isn't it obvious? And no magic is allowed. Then Elle pushed Rurin into a chair and put the blindfold on her. Rurin panicked. What? What are you going to make me eat? Elle replied. This is a game. Just try to guess. Then he fed Rurin a spoonful of food. What is he giving me? Why is this happening? I'll try to guess correctly using my dragonkin senses. First, it has a softness. This is bread and I can taste the cream I had at a recent party. The bread has many layers and it's sweet. Plus the freshness I'm sensing definitely means it has fruit inside. I know what this is. This is cake. It's cake. How about that? My senses. She joyfully shouted and took off the blindfold, just as fireworks went off. And everyone around her yelled, Happy birthday. Elle smiled in front of Rurin. That's right. It's a birthday cake. Happy birthday, Rurin. Oh, our dragon lady was stunned with emotion. All 500 brothers, take out pen and paper. Learn how to flirt with girls. Rurin was still in shock. Everyone around was cheerful and began to celebrate Rurin's birthday with joy and fireworks. Our dragon Loli was still staring at the cake in front of her, her eyes wide like two tennis balls. Is today really my birthday? Ellison laughed loudly and said, I thought you wouldn't remember your birthday. Until I mentioned we had an event today. But you still didn't remember anything. He continued to laugh while Rurin blushed, lowering her head to look at the cake. The once fierce dragon girl now appeared gentle and fragile, tapping her fingers together. Rurin shyly whispered, So you prepared all this for me? Thank you. Ellison turned to Elena, the village elf doctor, and whispered, Wow, Rurin just said thank you. Everyone seemed very surprised but happy. However, the next situation was not as everyone imagined. Rurin suddenly shouted, Don't think I'll say thank you. You punks. Everyone around was startled. Perhaps there were too many people here, so she was too embarrassed to say what she really thought. 500 years old, number 800 years old. A nearly 800-year-old dragon in the form of a child is still a child. Allison laughed loudly, breaking Rurin's awkward mood. But because you answered the question correctly, I have a special gift for you. He pulled out a small, beautiful box from his pocket, his eyes sparkling, carefully opening the box. Inside was a magical stone earring that glittered like a shooting star. With a beautifully crafted dragon insignia, I think it will suit you. Rurin was so surprised that her mouth dropped open. Her big round eyes sparkled like crystals. This, you made it for me? Her voice trembled. Allison nodded, smiling. Actually, I had the talented dwarves make it. They worked day and night, forgetting to eat and sleep, but not forgetting to drink, to create this piece. He leaned in and whispered in Rurin's ear. How they made it doesn't matter. What matters is that I didn't forget your birthday. With a small magic spell, Allison gently put the earring on Rurin. There, it's okay. Just a little pinch. Rurin looked at herself in the mirror, her eyes shining. It's beautiful, she whispered, her face blushing. Editor comments. See, giving gifts like this makes any girl swoon. Now, 300 guys watching the video. Take notes. Giving gifts isn't enough. You have to know how to surprise them so they'll give you their heart. Words must be accompanied by actions. Love starts from a girl's stomach and unexpected gifts while eating. Remember that. Okay, back to the story. Rurin was still blushing shyly, turning away, gently touching the earring and whispering, "It's really beautiful, I'll wear it forever." She recalled moments of seeing Benin give a necklace to his lover in the restaurant. They looked so happy, and she wanted to feel that way too. And now, it had come true. Rurin smiled happily like any girl in love. It's beautiful. Elle laughed loudly and continued the party program. Let's move on to the next player. Lady Rain, the kind woman, one of the best in the village, put on a blindfold, excitedly trying to guess the food prepared for her. It tastes a bit crunchy, but at that moment, Noel, the muscular butcher and Rain's husband, stammered, "Huck huck, but that's a worm." As soon as Rain heard that, she spat out all the food in her mouth. Allison laughed loudly, disqualified. What Rain ate was just crispy fried shrimp. So this time, Noel got a strong smack on the head from Rain's powerful arm. Unfortunately, it wasn't her legendary frying pan, or we would have had another spectacular scene. "You made me fail," Rain growled. Noel whimpered. Hoo. I just didn't want to be the only one disqualified." Meanwhile, Linte became the next participant in this challenge, trying to guess but not knowing what the food was. "I don't know what it is either, folks." The author deliberately drew the dish looking purple, emitting black smoke, looking indescribably disgusting, while Linte was trying to guess what it was. Matt stood beside cheering for his brother. "You can do it," but in the end, Linte had to give up because he couldn't guess what it was. Disqualified. The correct answer is grilled wuba meat. Linte was disqualified for not guessing correctly. He said, "I can't do this. I really can't guess." Our dragon Loli suddenly emitted a terrifying aura as if she was about to kill someone, making Linte and Matt scared to death. Why can't you? It's hard to understand why she was so angry. Maybe she saw that this guy had eaten a lot of wuba meat from the restaurant but couldn't guess. While he was an employee there, eating these dishes regularly, maybe that's it. But anyway, this angry scene is quite unreasonable. Folks, let's temporarily skip this because Rurin's temperament has been unusual from the beginning of the story until now. The party continued in a joyful and happy atmosphere. The cake was cut and shared with everyone. Perhaps this was the happiest party Rurin had ever had in her life. Finally, when all the food was gone, the party ended. The moonlight shone on the starry night sky. When everyone had returned to their sweet homes, only Rurin was lying on the table, probably because she was too full. Allison spoke up. "This is probably the last birthday before you enter the coming-of-age ceremony. Right?" Rurin nodded, holding the earring with great affection. But suddenly, Allison looked out the window, noticing the snowflakes signaling the start of winter. He exclaimed, "Snow, let's go outside and see." Rurin immediately jumped up, excitedly saying, "Wow, snow? Ellison quickly made 2 hot cups of cocoa and brought them to the legendary table outside. The two of them drank hot cocoa while enjoying the slight chill of an early winter day. Rurin suddenly asked Ellison, "It's only been a year since we came here, right?" With a slightly somber face. He replied, "Only a year? A year might be too short for dragons like you. But for humans, it's different." "Why is it different? You ate the Dragon King's heart. Didn't you?" Rurin wondered. Ellison closed his eyes, smiling lightly, and said, "No one can be sure if it prolongs life because I'm the first to eat it. Moreover, I didn't eat the entire Dragon King's heart." At that moment, a shooting star flashed across the sky. Looking up, Rurin exclaimed, "A shooting star." Elle smiles. "Oh, why don't you make a wish on your birthday? It's your birthday today." "I will wish." She wished silently. "I wish I could stay with you for a long time." Meanwhile, Ellison, sitting next to her, smiled and said, "What are you wishing for?" "If I could, I would wish for something similar." This made Rurin so happy that she couldn't stop smiling. "I won't tell you. You can wish for what you want on your birthday. But today is my birthday." The strongest wizard on the continent. A black dragon with latent energy that could become a new Dragon King. A strange couple continued to enjoy a beautiful and romantic snowy night of their own. The scene shifts to a new land, where floating mountains and majestic castles drift in the cloudy sky. Surrounded by flying dragons, the territory of the Black Dragon Clan. At this moment, hurried footsteps accompanied by Curse's word. A young man burst through the giant door, shouting, "Uncle, what's the matter?" "Niece," an ancient but majestic voice echoed. "What brings you here?" Niece shouted, "Uncle, how long do you plan to let that human be arrogant? Is our promise to a human really that important?" "Yes. Let me introduce you to a supporting character of a supporting character, who has just appeared in our story. Black Dragon Niece. He looks quite handsome, doesn't he?" Editor comments. If he were in another story, this face could probably make him the main character. Continuing with our story, sitting on the throne is Black Dragon Dihegma, one of the lords of the Black Dragon Clan. Old and powerful, he slowly looked down at Niece and asked in a commanding voice, "All because of Rurin, right?" Niece, slightly startled, replied, "That's right. If you wanted that girl so much, you should have treated her well when she was here. You bullied her not long ago. But now that she's grown, you feel ashamed to let her go?" Dihegma asked again. Niece bit his lip. "This is not for my personal benefit but concerns the existence of the entire Black Dragon Clan. Most of our clan's women, especially young fertile dragonesses, died in the last war. Moreover, we can't say how long this brief period of peace will last. We can't wait for a promise." Dihegma, still sitting on his throne, looked down and said, "So what exactly are you trying to say? Do you want me to order Rurin to be brought back here?" Niece almost transformed into his true form. His blue eyes glowing, pupils turning into dragon eyes, muscles on his face becoming prominent. And he roared, "If you allow it." Dihegma sighed, "Calm down. He's someone you can't deal with. It would be better if he doesn't kill you. You won't understand it until you face him yourself." However, the young dragon still couldn't accept this truth. Indeed, a young dragon who has never seen the world is no different from a worm, eager to fight, yet unaware of its own strength. He gritted his teeth and thought, "A human can't have such great power." Dihegma continued, "Besides, breaking a vow would damage the honor of the Dragon Clan. And I can't accept that. Moreover, Lord Metadonna won't forgive such reckless actions from you. After all, she is his niece." It seemed Niece had calmed down. So he cautiously said, "If you say so." But he added in a strained voice, "All right then, as long as there's a valid reason, right?" Realizing something, Dihegma slowly said, It seems you already have an idea. Don't you? Fine. A vow can't bind me forever. But if something goes wrong, I will deny that we had this conversation today. Do you understand that?" he emphasized. Hearing this, Niece became more confident, placed his hand on his chest, bowed, and smirked as he left, saying, "Of course, uncle, and in the end, we will be the saviors, not the usurpers." The scene shifts to a snowy, windy land, Mount Meteoric in the North Pole. At this moment, our two familiar figures appear with snow covering their heads. Rurin asked, "Hey, why did you bring us here to find what?" Ellison excitedly said, "Mushrooms." "Mushrooms? Why did we have to come all the way here just for that?" Rurin was surprised. Ellison explained, "These are not ordinary mushrooms. These are super rare mushrooms. I heard about this at our restaurant when customers were chatting while eating. They said that in the northern land of the pole, someone found a rare mushroom. This mushroom was found by a wooba pig digging it up from the ground. It had never been seen before. And of course, the owner of the wooba took the mushroom to another place to have it checked and exchanged it for a mountain of money." The customer continued, "I wouldn't have to worry about anything anymore if I had one of those mushrooms. Just one mushroom could be exchanged for a huge amount of money. A lot of gold coins." Back to Ellison, who was now deep in thought. A mushroom found by wooba pigs digging down into a hole in the ground. Ah, such a rare mushroom that has never been found before. This can only be a truffle. It must be a truffle. This is a special mushroom or something similar to truffles in the modern world. To explain further for those following this video who don't know, I'll introduce you a bit about truffles. Truffles are an edible type of mushroom. But unlike other mushrooms, truffles don't grow on the ground but deep underground, usually parasitizing the roots of oak trees. This mushroom is highly valued in French, Italian, Greek, and Spanish cuisine. The 18th century French gastronome Briot Savarin called truffles the diamonds of the kitchen. Usually, you can only find and enjoy this mushroom in luxurious fine dining restaurants. In 2019, mid-range truffles cost around $150 per kilogram, while premium ones could go up to $7,000 per kilogram. For more special types, at specialized auctions, this number can be pushed very high, sometimes up to hundreds of thousands of dollars for a kilogram of top-quality truffles. The high value of truffles is determined by two factors: their rarity and the flavor they bring. Back to the story. Our two main characters are standing on a cliff looking down into the valley. Rurin asked, "So how can we find that thing?" Elle confidently said, "This mushroom has a very strong scent but it's hard to find because it lies deep underground." "But it's okay, Rurin, because you have the particularly strong senses of a dragon. That's enough." While Ellison was excitedly talking, Rurin pointed at herself and asked, "Oh, so you're planning to use me again? But what does that thing smell like?" At this moment, realizing something, Ellison scratched his head and said, "Well, it smells like truffles, I think." It seems our powerful but silly main character has realized an important problem: to find truffles. We need to know their scent. To know their scent, we need to have truffles. To have truffles, we need to have seen or smelled truffles. This creates an endless loop. Realizing the harsh truth, Ellison collapsed to the ground and mumbled, "Should I summon truffle oil from the modern world? But what if its scent doesn't match the mushrooms here?" Frustrated, Rurin looked at Ellison and said, "You idiot." Suddenly, a terrible scream echoed from the valley. Rurin and Ellison turned to look. It was a group of orcs fully armed, surrounding and killing a beast that looked like a gorilla but covered in white fur. Its head resembled a cat, and its tail was also a cat's tail. It was probably some kind of feline beast in this world. The cat-like creature, once trembling in fear amidst the horde of orcs, had now become more resilient. Its eyes gleamed with an unwavering determination. Immediately, both sides charged into battle, tension erupting. The confrontation became fierce, with blood and mud mingling. The first orc that lunged was torn apart by the cat's sharp claws. But it carelessly allowed another orc to slash its thigh, causing it to collapse to the ground, just when it seemed its fate was sealed by the brutal orcs. A voice suddenly rang out, cutting through the battle. "Stop!" A magical circle appeared out of nowhere, enveloping the entire battlefield, and the cold voice continued, "You all may have your reasons to fight, but this place is not your battlefield." The Grand Wizard had finally spoken. The orcs turned around in shock, seeing Rurin with eyes blazing, the aura of a dragon radiating powerfully, scaring them so much they dropped their weapons and fled in panic. much to the surprise of the soft white cat. As the orcs retreated completely, Ellison spoke up. They didn't seem to run away after seeing me. Did they? Rurin, still calm as if nothing had happened, replied with folded arms. You need to be more serious. As the conversation continued, the giant shadow of the cat suddenly stood up, roared, and leapt into the air, shielding everyone. Its eyes glowed fiercely, while Ellison was still looking up in surprise. The cat suddenly knelt down. Oh, this scene looks familiar. Where have I seen it before? Ah, right. Yes. Just like when the young Baron of Grake wanted to take El as his master. Ellison turned to Rurin and asked, "What's it saying?" Rurin replied, "It's thanking you for saving its family. I think it wants to repay our kindness." Hearing this, the cat's eyes lit up again, as if confirming Rurin's words. Ellison sighed, sweat dripping. What now? Repay me? And so, the odd couple ventured into the cat's cave, where adorable kittens were playing together. Oh God, they look unbearably cute. I want to raise one too. Do they eat a lot? Elle seemed to have figured out why the orcs attacked, but the cat didn't run away. It turned out, it was protecting its kittens. This clearly explained its actions. This was definitely a mother cat. And no mother would abandon her children to flee. Even though Elle understood that, he still wondered and asked Rurin. Getting back to the main point, so, what exactly do you want to get from it? Rurin simply replied, nothing at all. It can help us find what we want. This species has an excellent sense of smell, and there's a rather strange scent here. At that moment, the cat excitedly brought over a pile of pitch-black items, astonishing both Elle and Rurin. Rurin quickly pulled her scarf over her nose and shouted, "That's it. That's the smell. What is this? This isn't treasure." Ellison cheerfully responded, "You're wrong. This is exactly the treasure we need to find." The scene shifted to a ruined area, where a voice echoed, "Knees. What's happening on the surface? Why did you call us here?" 3 new dragonkin appeared, Black Dragon Darba, Black Dragon Nekwu, and Black Dragon Hoven. Knees' eyes were filled with anger, as if he was contemplating something. After a moment, he replied, "I want to bring Rurin back to the sanctuary." Hoven asked in surprise, "What? Rurin?" Darba added, "But." Meanwhile, Nekwu laughed and asked, "Are you still looking for a mate?" Rurin's appearance is worth considering. But isn't Rurin with that human wizard named El? I think they're in the city of Grake. Hearing this, Knees gritted his teeth and shouted, "I don't like that. We're keeping a vow we made to a human." Moreover, Rurin's overly confident attitude back then. Knees' aura flared up in his anger, clearly indicating he had some past issues with Rurin. He continued, "I just received permission from Lord Dehegma. He said we can attack him if we have a justification." Nekwu then seriously asked, "So what's your plan? And how do you intend to handle it?" Darba added, "This is a tough issue. Directly attacking humans is forbidden by the treaty. Isn't it? The only exception allowed is if he kills one of our kind first." Nekwu returned with a smiling face and said, "Does this make sense? Even if he's the strongest Archmage, he's still just a human and can't harm our dragons. This treaty is just to protect him from us. Right?" Knees seriously replied, "No, there's a chance he might do that." Darba asked in surprise, "What? Really?" Finally, Hoven spoke up, "Is the news about the battle true?" Amidst the tension, a sudden voice startled all the black dragons. "If that's the issue, I think I can help you." The black dragons turned to look at the cage holding a creature with red hair, a magical lock around its neck. One of the black dragons asked skeptically, "What do you mean? How could someone like you help us?" The one in the cage shouted, "Don't be foolish. Listen to me first. I know a red dragon. The person speaking is Red Dragon, Gerd. None other than the ex-boyfriend of the red dragon Serena. Currently, Serena has taken over the dwarven territory, transforming it into her lair." The red dragon Gerd continued, "She lives near the city of Grake. You can use her for your plan." He continued, "She lives near the city of Grake. You can use her for your plan." The scene shifted to the odd couple, Ellison and Rurin. At this moment, Ellison joyfully exclaimed, "This is it. These are the truffles we've been looking for. Ruren asked in surprise. They're called truffles? Their cat seemed to sigh, but was actually very excited because these people really liked the gift it had found. Ellison continued to explain. Yes. These are the mushrooms they eat. They grow deep in the soil of this region and are nurtured here. It seems only these cats can find them. However, Ruren seemed uninterested, grabbed a truffle, and threw it away, saying, "Whatever, but they smell awful. We should throw them all away." Ellison and the cat were both shocked, exclaiming, "Do you know how expensive these are?" Ellison began to think, if this cat could find enough truffles to make them its main food source. Realizing its importance, he made a decision. "Ruren, translate everything I say and convey it to the cat. I want to say, thank you for repaying me. I can't just stand here after receiving this wonderful gift. I propose you become the guardian of the dragon lair. What do you think about leaving this dangerous land for a more peaceful village?" Ruren, while translating for the cat, turned to Ellison in surprise and thought, "What is this silly guy planning now?" Suddenly, she shouted, "Wait, what did you say? You want to recruit it?" Ellison confirmed, "Yes, a guardian is necessary for the dragon lair." The cat, though surprised, couldn't hide its joy. However, its surprise was greater than its joy. Ruren looked at Ellison and reluctantly agreed, despite being baffled by his strange thinking. "Okay. I don't know why you said that, but everything will be fine." Hearing this, the cat happily knelt down to thank the two of them, while the two kittens continued to play innocently. But at that moment, Ruren's shout rang out again. "But isn't the lair supposed to be just for you and me?" Editor comments. Clearly, Ruren's possessiveness towards Ellison hasn't changed. She always wants to be by Ellison's side. Just Ellison, no one else. The scene shifted to the domain of the red dragon Serena. Serena sat on her tiny throne, her face full of contemplation. She was recalling the conversation with Ellison and Ruren that had happened earlier. "It was all just an illusion I created. Are you satisfied now? You scoundrels. If you're not happy, just take everything. It's truly painful for me." Serena felt the pain of her domain, where there were only a few silver coins and the treasure was too meager. Ellison, feeling confused, tried to comfort her. "We didn't know about illusion magic. Sorry for the lack of treasures here." But Ruren was different. "Oh, a wonderful lair. It looks even better now." Serena couldn't contain her anger. She provocatively asked, "How wonderful is your lair?" Ruren's answer shocked Serena even more. "I don't have one. I'm building it." Serena screamed. You don't have a lair? How dare you look down on me like that?" Ruren ignored her, turned around, hugged Ellison's arm, and pulled him away. With a disdainful look, Ruren said, "I have a restaurant with Ellison. Though it's not as big as your lair. I've never been disappointed with it." Ruren laughed gleefully and turned away, as if teasing Serena's feelings. She happily hugged Ellison's arm and left, while Ellison felt embarrassed by Ruren's actions. Editor comments. Ellison blushing because a girl hugged him on the street. Isn't that a bit unreasonable? Living together, sleeping in the same bed, and yet he's embarrassed like this. It seems the author described this part a bit unrealistically. Narrator comments. The author just wanted to emphasize the happiness of Ellison and Ruren in front of Serena, to make their feelings clearer. Moreover, this will also affect Serena's emotions later. Back to Serena. She muttered to herself, "Should I ever meet that human again? Then I'll at least be able to kill some time." She continued to fiddle with the crown lying on the ground, her face full of sadness and loneliness. A deep loneliness enveloped her, like a thick fog. As a dragon without a lover, without friends, she sat quietly on her tiny throne, in a dark and cold space. Around her were only a few silver coins and a frightening silence, blending into a dull picture. Is being alone lonely? Certainly, why wouldn't it be? But it seems I've gotten used to it. Loneliness isn't frightening. What's frightening is when someone suddenly realizes that they are lonely. She gnawed at the deep loneliness in her soul, as if facing an endless void, where every silence became more painful than ever. But at that moment, sensing something unusual, she immediately snapped awake. There are some intruders coming here. Seemingly recognizing who was approaching, Serena continued to sit on her small throne, crossing her left leg over her right, folding her arms arrogantly, and shouted, "So, what do you want to say to me? If you wanted to come, why didn't you come sooner? Instead of after a whole month like this?" Serena's anger increased as her ex-boyfriend, who had left her for over a month, now returned with a face full of sorrow. "Serena, long time no see." But his words only made Serena angrier. Her aura flared up violently, and she angrily crushed the armrest of her chair. He continued, with a sincere expression, "I have something to tell you. I realize that I only love you. I want to start over with you." His words made Serena pause. But her anger only grew. Her dragon form began to appear, her fangs lengthening, and she roared. "When did that thought come to you? You left without a word of explanation. You're no different from those who attacked villages, women, and children." Serena fully transformed into a large and mighty red dragon. She continued, "You didn't come here alone, did you?" Caught off guard, he laughed coldly and replied, "As always. Your assessment skills are still sharp." Before he could finish, the ceiling of the domain echoed with loud explosions. Large holes appeared due to magic, and 3 black dragons appeared, ready to unleash their magic. Gjord shouted, "Now is the time. Everyone attack."